Welcome back. The Bronx and Queens district, represented by New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, has seen a 70% crime surge since she took office. That according to NYPD data. That is more than double the New York City average. Here's how AOC previously addressed the rising crime.
I think that we have a problem on immigration because of the lack of progress.
We are seeing these headlines about percentage increases. Now, I want to say that any amount of harm is unacceptable and too much. But I also want to make sure that this hysteria, that this doesn't drive a hysteria and that we look at these numbers in context so that we can make responsible decisions.
New York City Council candidate Ramses Frias and Elmhurst resident Guadalupe Alvarez joins us now. So I'm going to start with you, Ramses. You know that I've been down to that district. I've interviewed women who have said, I'm afraid to walk on the street after 5, 6 o'clock at night. I've seen tricks turned at 11 a.m. She says, by the way, prostitute tricks, in case people don't know what I'm talking about, 11 a.m. inside your district. What do you say to her response that this is just hysteria?
It's not hysteria. It's a reality. The numbers are showing what exactly is happening. We have crime happening every single day here, from violent crime, prostitution, illegal street vending, you name it, and it's happening here. This has become a safe haven for criminal activity. Once they opened the borders up, everything got worse, and it continues to gradually increase, in numbers. We have problems here that she is not facing, and she is not trying to face. She just keeps on, giving this rhetoric about, oh, you don't cause hysteria, but the reality is here. People are scared. People are afraid to even go to the supermarket just because of all the criminal activity that we see in the streets.
Guadalupe, when you're talking with your friends and you guys are expressing these concerns about the state of your district and what's happening in the streets and the crime that we were just hearing about, and then you see your congresswoman jetting all over the country, sometimes in a private jet, raging against the oligarchy, whatever that is, with Bernie Sanders. How do you and your friends respond to that? How is that received in the district?
Well, to us, that's hysteria, right? Her last campaign ad on Instagram spoke about being a cynic and not giving in to the cynicism when she is, in fact, the cynic. We're just so tired. I can't speak for myself, but, the community voted her in and she has done nothing for the community. If you see what she's done since she's been Congresswoman, it's been nothing. She has not even shown to her areas of representation, and it's unfortunate that we have to suffer with the consequences. Like Ramsey said, it's constant fear amongst one another. We won't have friends visit us because we don't want to be responsible for anything that might happen to them in the neighborhood.
And he is acting in his own self-interest and not those of the American people.
I want to underline who we're talking about here, who you think is concerned about this. They're blue state voters who voted for Donald Trump. New York was more for Trump this time than in past elections. Your district was more for Trump than past elections. And you've had social media discussions with people who voted both for you and for Donald Trump. Do you truly believe, though, that that class of voters is paying attention and cares about the details of what you see as corruption and exactly the way that Musk is going about what he's doing for Trump?
As we know, Republicans weaponized that lack of progress. Of course, there was famously a bipartisan bill last year that the Republican majority in the Senate and also in the House were willing to pass. President Biden was willing to work with them on it. And Donald Trump said, do not solve this problem. As long as it is broken, then it will be politically beneficial for us. And so it is a problem not just for Democrats, it's a problem for the entire country.
We've set all-time records for the lowest number of illegal border crossings ever recorded. Think of that, ever recorded. The number of illegal border crossers released into the United States is down, listen to this please, 99.999%.
Republicans do not want to solve any sort of issue with immigration. They are completely uninterested in addressing undocumented people, in addressing a path to citizenship.
Well, they do want to address undocumented people by removing them. I mean, that's what the president is attempting now.
Even then, you see what Republicans did with the Laken Riley Act.
Congress gave President Trump another way to deport people without legal status. It's called the Laken Riley Act, and it allows federal immigration officers to detain and deport those without legal status charged with minor theft or shoplifting, assault of a police officer, or causing bodily harm or death to another person. It's the first bill of his second presidency to be signed into law. So what does it all mean? Well, it may become a legal tool for President Trump to carry out mass deportations. And this sets the precedent of skipping the process of waiting for someone to be convicted before they're deported. Simply being accused is enough to be deported. But where did it come from?
In honor of Laken Riley.
The bill is named for a Georgia nursing student who was killed last year by a Venezuelan man in the U.S. without legal status. Her death became a rallying cry for Republicans who criticized the Biden administration's approach to border security. The man, Jose Ibarra, was later sentenced to life in prison without parole. He had previously been charged with shoplifting in New York. Republicans argue that this law would have enabled his deportation sooner and would have prevented Riley's murder.
The bill passed.
The bill passed with bipartisan support, marking a shift for Democrats who did not advance the legislation in the Senate last year. But implementing this law might be a challenge. I sent a memo to lawmakers warning that this law would be, quote, impossible to execute with existing resources. In its first year, the agency said that it would cost $26 billion because of personnel costs, increase in detention resources, transportation, and more. The bill comes as Trump is promising stricter immigration enforcement and deterrence to legal migration.
Recently, in their passage with it, in that they authorized the complete gutting of due process. So now you can take a DACA recipient, a dreamer, just accuse them of a crime.
And deport them.
You know, they're looking for this guy, getting a pursuit with him. Third time in, 6 months? Third time in 6 months. They've been in a high-speed pursuit with this guy. He starts tossing stuff out the back. Then he starts shooting at them with an AR-15. At some point along the way, his girlfriend dumps him out of the car. So they stop the car, and you can hear it. They think he's in there, but they realize he's not in there. So now they've got this guy, wanted felon, willing to shoot at the cops. So if you're willing to shoot at the cops, you're willing to kill the cops. If you're willing to kill the cops, you're willing to do just about anything. And now he's still on the loose as of today, right? He has not been captured. So that's the context under which Sheriff Derek Sanders was so frustrated. This is someone who has a long rap sheet, long list of warrants out, who keeps being recycled in and out of the criminal justice system, who keeps getting out on low to no bail, even though Sheriff Derek Sanders has warned repeatedly, not just about this guy, but about other offenders. Look, if you continue to do this act of his judges, someone is going to get hurt. And now you've got a guy shooting out of the back of an SUV with an AR-15 at deputies who are pursuing him. So here's a longer conversation Sheriff Sanders had with KomoNews.
Well, this is his third time engaging in a high-speed chase in 6 months. This is the first time he shot at us, but on at least one other occasion, I believe even maybe both occasions, he had firearms on him. So it's hard not to see this as something that's very predictable. We know he's going to continue to escalate, and unfortunately, our judicial system just refuses to take it seriously. Last time that this individual, that we booked him into jail for his last pursuit, I warned everyone. I said, if we don't start taking this individual seriously, someone's going to get hurt or killed. And here's the result.
So you have warned people about him before. You knew him about him before tonight.
He's a prolific career criminal. Continues to get released back to the streets.
And here we are.
New video shows the moment 27-year-old Damian Madison is finally taken into custody after days of searching. FBI agents captured the wanted convict and his mother, who they believe were heading to Arizona.
No emergency lights, no warning. They had a feeling that mom would flee and get into a high-speed chase to try and keep her son out of custody.
Dash camera video shows Thurston County deputies chasing Madison's SUV near Tenino. Deputies say he was the passenger who shot at them with an AR-15 and threw items to try and get the patrol unit to crash.
You know, this might be the reason why they're trying to do this mass deportation without due process, because Washington State, as many others do, just continue to release them back into the system. Don't forget about the judge that snuck an immigrant out the back of the courthouse, who's now arrested and being indicted on charges. But there are other many circumstances like this, so just keep that in mind, AOC.